we are all conscious human beings. We all have the capability, I should say, to make decisions. And those decisions are what determine what will happen in your life. Remember that where you're at right now in your life, this very point in time, is due to what you did 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, last week, and also yesterday. Hey legends, welcome to another episode of the Interchange podcast, and thanks for joining me again for another solo episode. So, as I've said time and time again, I want to do as much as I can for you guys. So if there's something you'd like me to cover on these solo episodes, please feel free to send me a message, leave me a comment, something like that. Get in contact somehow so that I can know what the subject you want to cover is, and then I'll give you as much value around that as I can. Also, if you tend to throw me a if you throw me a curveball and I don't actually know too much about the subject, what I'm going to do is go away, study it, use ChatGPT to research that and do my best to understand it, and then come and give you an episode on something that I've just learned as well. So please, I welcome curveballs. I welcome things that I don't know much about, because it's also a chance for me to grow and a chance for me to give you guys as much value as I can around those things. So yeah, putting it out there. Anything you want me to cover, please reach out. That's what this solo podcast is all about. It's trying to give you as much value as possible, and hopefully give you something that can, I guess, carry over into your life and make some sort of small change in a positive manner. Anyways, today, so sort of following on from last week's episode with victim mindset. Not last week's. Yeah, it was last week's actually. So following on from last week's episode with victim mindset, I'm going to be talking about ownership. And I actually mentioned that in the last episode as well. But when I talk about ownership, this is taking ownership for everything in your life. There's a great book that Jocko Willink wrote called Extreme Ownership, and it goes really in depth around this. But I guess a really, really good way to look at this is that where you are right now in your life, whether you're happy, sad, content, miserable, you have no one else to blame for that but yourself. And this will tie back into the victim mindset episode as well, because with the victim mindset, we blame everyone else for our circumstances and our situations. And it's the same if we don't take ownership. We're blaming everyone else for where we're currently at in our life. But one thing that we need to realize after, I guess, a certain age, when we leave the nest and leave home and our parents have done their due diligence, that was a tongue twister for some reason. When our parents have done their due diligence to, educate us, get us to a level where we are sufficient and safe and comfortable and, I guess, capable enough to go off on our own, then life is within our hands. Yeah, we can't control our circumstances, but we can control our reactions to them. So when it comes to taking ownership is something that I used to struggle with as well. And I speak about this time and time and time again, especially when it comes to me going to jail and I guess where I was at in my life, blaming everyone else for my circumstances and blaming everyone else for my current predicaments and all that sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, the reason that I get myself into, or the reason that I was in a lot of negative situations in my life was because of the choices that I made. And even down to most recently, my most recent relationship not working out. So once again, I take ownership for that because I know that it wasn't the right fit, and I knew that for a long time. But in my head, I was trying to, I guess, make a happy family because there was a lot of good qualities that were in that relationship. A lot of really good memories as well, a lot of really good things. But there were definitely also a lot of warning signs, and I feel like to some degree I was settling because I felt like I was ready for a relationship, I was ready for a partner, so I was looking for the best in this person. But that comes back to me. That comes back to my own, I guess, not being strong enough to go, no, you know what, I'm going to go back to just focusing on me. So this is the thing, like everything negative that's happened in my life up until this point from when I left home has all been on me. And it's the same for you. Yeah. So yes, you can't control the circumstances, but you need to take ownership of the fact that it's up to you what you do moving forward from those circumstances. So if you're sitting there right now and you're not happy with where you're at in your life and you're blaming everyone else and you have that victim mindset, well, then it's up to you to take ownership and actually do something about it. No one's coming to save you. You might get a handout here and there from time to time, but if you're always relying on someone else to do something for you, you're going to be completely miserable for the rest of your life because the chances are that even if you do have someone that's out there looking out for you and they've got your back, if you're just continuing to throw dirt in their face by not doing something about the current circumstances or current situation you're in, eventually those people are going to get sick of it. Unless they're also stuck in the same mindset. And then you guys are just feeding into each other's pity party, which is what I spoke about on the last episode. But ownership is you looking at your life and realizing that you have full control of what happens from here on out. And now that you're conscious of that, it is your responsibility as a conscious human to start to make the changes. So when it comes to ownership is literally just exactly that. It's taking ownership of your life and everything in it. Remember, you can either be the bus driver or you can be a passenger on the bus. And I know for a fact that I'd rather be driving the bus than being a passenger. Okay, it might come back to me being a little bit of a control freak to a certain degree, but that's the thing. I like to be in control of my life and everything in it. And that doesn't mean that I don't like to have a bit of uncertainty, which means I'm giving control to something else or someone else. But I also need to have a certain amount of certainty, and that means that I am taking ownership of everything that's going on in my life. So what is one area of your life right now where you might not be taking ownership? Is it in relationships? Is it part of, I guess, something you're doing with work? Is it the things that you're getting up to on the weekend, you blaming everyone else around you? Because you need to realize that we are all conscious human beings. We all have the capability, I should say, to make decisions. And those decisions are what determine what will happen in your life. Remember that where you're at right now in your life, this very point in time, is due to what you did 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, last week, and also yesterday. Hey, hello. Sorry for interrupting your podcast, but I just wanted to quickly jump on and tell you about the must-have personal development tool for 2023, and it's called the Happier, Healthier You Journal. So I'll take you back to about 6 years ago. I'd just gotten out of jail for the last time and was starting my journey of personal development and growth. There was heaps of gurus, heaps of information available, but so much so that it became confusing. So I came up with the Happier, Healthier You Journal to help you to navigate what can be an absolute minefield. From the very get-go, you open the page and it'll challenge you to dive deep with self-assessments, daily activities, and check-ins to figure out exactly where you're at, where you'd like to be. And then from there, the journal becomes the tool to help you to bridge that gap. So to get your hands on this, click on the link below and don't forget to use INTOCHANGE 10 at checkout for a cheeky 10% off. I'll see you back over on the episode. So with that being said, what are the changes you need to make? And what are the things you need to what are the things I should say that you need to take ownership of today so you can start to live a better life for tomorrow? Because until you start to identify these things, until you start to identify the areas that you're letting yourself fall short, nothing's ever going to change. You're going to continue to repeat the same pattern. You're going to continue to be in the same relationships. You're going to continue to be in a job that makes you miserable. You're going to continue to have a life that is unfulfilling, lacking purpose, getting treated like shit by everyone around you. Because you're allowing that. It's simple as that. It's really as simple as that. Where you're at in your life right now is due to the decisions you've made, not the circumstances that you're around. Tony Robbins says it best. You know, life's all about decisions. And we have a decision right now to make that change. And if you're willing to make that change, then awesome, your life's going to get better. But if you're continuing to stick your head in the sand and you're not willing to make those changes, not willing to take ownership, not willing to make decisions that are working for you rather than against you, then you're going to continue to have the same outcome. You're going to continue to have that same shit happening in your life. So what is that one area? What is the one area that you're struggling with at the moment? Is it in your relationship? Are you in a relationship that's abusive? Are you in a relationship that is, and not saying this is your fault, by the way. No, I'm not saying that anything that you're in right now is your fault, but you're choosing to stay in that relationship. As hard as it is, sometimes you just have to walk away. Are you in a relationship where someone's cheating on you and you're just turning a blind eye because it's easier to do that than walk away? And this is another thing about taking ownership. It's not easy. It's not easy by any means. Okay? It's one of those things that is hard, but generally the best decisions and the right decisions in life are the hard ones. I mean, if everything in life was easy, it'd be great. But then how do we ever grow? How would we ever have anything to compare good and bad? If everything was easy, we'd just be flat. We'd be plateau. This is why we need to have those tips and troughs. Because if we didn't have tips and troughs, we wouldn't remember how good life is. And when we have the troughs, we wouldn't remember what we're trying to aspire to become. So with ownership, it's literally coming down to you taking ownership of everything in your life. So if you've cheated on someone, okay, you need to own that shit. Yeah. If you have been cheated on, you need to take ownership of that shit. It's simple as that. Like, you didn't do the thing, okay? But you're staying in the relationship. If you're in a shitty business deal, once again, you're trying to hold on for dear life. You need to take ownership of that. The reason you're miserable at the moment is because you haven't walked away from that. And yes, you probably lose money, but at the end of the day, you can always make more money. Quality of life that you have right now is all that you've got. And remember, if you're wasting your time, once again, that's another thing you need to take ownership of, because time is the most valuable resource that we have. It is the one thing we can't get more of. And I'm sure that there's many people out there that are trying to do that. But that being said, remember, use your time wisely. And if you can start to take ownership of everything in your life and realize that the reason you're in this current situation, English, the reason you're in this current situation where you're at right now is because of you and no one else, then life will get a lot easier. And I said it's going to get easier, not that it'll get easy. You're still going to have your down days. You're still going to have your good days. It's simple as that. That's what life's all about. But when you can start to realize that you control the outcome of the circumstances, you can't control the circumstances, and you can control how you react in those circumstances, and you can control, and you can take ownership of how you react, then life's going to get a hell of a lot easier and a hell of a lot better for you. Because once again, back to that victim mindset we were talking about last week, if you're stuck in that mindset of the victim rather than the victor, then this means that everything is happening to you rather than for you. And this means that you aren't taking ownership of the fact that you have full control of your life. Yeah, back to the decisions we make. You get to choose the decisions. You can't choose the circumstances. So with that, I'm going to finish on that note. What is the one decision that you're going to make today to start to have a better future for tomorrow? What is that one thing? That one thing you want to take ownership of? And how is that one thing going to have a positive influence on you from now on out, or from here on out, I should say? Guys, a bit of a short one today, but nothing wrong with a bit of short and sweet content. If there's something else you want me to cover, remember, feel free to reach out, shoot me a message. I'd love to have some topics that I can talk about that are going to give you guys as much value as possible. Peace.